Adele is joining us from France. I wanted you to talk about your discovery of this house and
hmm
how it made you feel and how
hmm
it could relate to our Janes in search
Okay.
of something.
Oh, wow. There's a lot in there because you know me.
I
I
know,
like
but
to go
you
big
had
and I like to go
you
wide.
made you made a 3 minute, 2 minute
Yeah.
video, which we
Okay.
will eventually upload. But
All right.
talk to that.
So we've arrived, my husband and I arrived here yesterday evening to what is the southwestern part of France. So, yes, we arrived to this place, this house, which is from the 13th century. It's been
Mhm.
in my husband's friend's family home where we're staying. And as grandiose as that might sound, um, it is and it isn't. As wealth has been passed down, there's less and less, and they've always worked for it in the sense they ran a vineyard and they've sold their wines over the years, and but the place is showing its wear. And my husband's friend's mother died four
What's his
years
name?
ago.
What's his name?
His name is Paul,
Okay.
and so it was a question of, well, what to do. And he and his brothers wanted to keep it in the family. But he's also always had like a ridiculous love for all things old, probably because he's French, but also I think he's a bit of a romantic. And so, how to keep the house? He decided to renovate the upper floor and make a little apartment for himself below, and the upper renovated floor would be let out through Airbnb. And so it's yes, that's a practical matter of how to handle a financial conundrum. But where does this come into play with Jane Ain't Done Yet? It's because when Paul gave us the tour, there was so much to see in terms of detail and workmanship. And he couldn't stop saying, and look at this, and I did this, and then I designed this, and I made this by hand. And it was like when a young child, and typically it's been boys for me, show you the Lego collection that they have and that they built. It was so much like that, but on a grander scale. And I kind of got more excited about the wallpaper than I ever had about Legos. But it shows you total life as an intellectual, because he's also written a book on like the symbolism of Mont Saint Michel. I mean, speaks about 4 languages. But clearly there's this whole other part of him that he brought out in redoing this house. He did the intellectual thing of doing research for the period of the house, and his whole artistic side of designing a balcony and then learning how to make, like, literally work the iron.
Mm.
And when I said, you are such a dreamer, he said, yes, I am. He goes, but dreams are just the future in reality.
That's a great
Did I
quote.
get that right? Does that make sense?
It does.
No. Good. Yeah. And so I was like, damn yes, because part of me was like, oh, I'm just learning how to do that. I'm a good dreamer, but I haven't always, like, I'm almost imagining the rainbow. I'm
Mm.
like imagining the rainbow, but I'm not painting it. Or if I'm painting it, I'm not finishing it. So I come down the other side of it. And his pleasure is not just in the dreaming. It was in the making of it.
And the doing, yeah.
Yeah. And that's when he then said, part of it, because I said, oh, well, you're a dreamer. Yes, you had a vision and you made it happen. He said, well, yes, but it was also because as I was thinking about it, like it's his spirit and his heart involved in that. He would work things through design and drawing and imagining. So then they started to also come into being. So in part, he said the hands instructed him. And I love that because we have said before, you and I, about how action brings clarity. And also the body knows things sometimes that we don't know. And I feel
Yeah.
like the hands sometimes are guided by something other than the intellect, right? The hands can inform us in a different way than if we just apply the mind. So it was like such a pleasure for the senses and such a reminder to me, make things happen that you really want to have happen. And also don't say, oh, I can't afford that. I really wish I could keep this, but I'm going to just make my life smaller and manageable so I can keep what I have. He's
Mm.
thinking big.
Right. There was a practical element to it to keep the
Yeah,
house and to bring the
totally,
money in,
totally.
but
And
there
he and I
was the
spoke about that
dreamer.
today.
Yeah.
Maybe you could have a corporate team building event
Mm.
here, and it's just, so I feel like he was brave. In my mind, he was brave because I can sometimes be like, oh, I don't know how that's going to happen. He just like got his hands dirty and he's still not sure how it's going to turn out.
And you're in the bathroom right now. I don't know if you
I'm in
said
the
that at the
back.
beginning, but it's like,
Well, I
that's the
knew,
bathroom?
even though it's a big house,
Let me
I,
step up my
I, um,
game.
I knew I could, there was a desk, which is like a little vanity table really. And, the other thing is, um,
Wait, show
yeah,
the
I could just
sink.
be
Show the
doing,
sink, please. I'm sorry. I can't.
okay, I'll show
I
this.
don't know if you can, but
Kind of,
it's ridiculous. But look at
tell me
this.
if you see it.
I mean, ridiculously stunning too. Beautiful. The detail.
Sitting.
So when I watched this video, I had the sound off, and then I thought, oh, she's just on a tour of an old house or a museum or
Yeah.
something. And then I thought, well, okay. Then I put the sound on, and then my mind was blown that it was somebody's house who had actually done all this work that you're talking
I know.
about.
And he grew up in, and we're
And
here with his
yes,
son, his adult son, who, has such memories of coming and seeing his grandparents here. And, his grandparents and his mother are buried at the cemetery, just a skip away. And I also really appreciate that family history.
it all
Totally.
ties together in this
Yeah.
story. There are
Yeah.
so many elements that you brought out, with the family and the work ethic and the dreaming and the doing. And I love the
Yeah.
part about the hands. The hands guide us.
I know. I know. Yeah, and I'll just add one little note on that, and then we can close if you feel we're done. I typically compose on my computer. When I say compose, I do a lot of writing. But since we were in the car a lot recently, I've been using my notebook, and I started to work on our course that we're going to offer. And there was something about the use of a pen and a pencil and just
Mm.
being able to write on some beautiful paper, because it is beautiful paper I have in my workbook, that made the experience more alive.
Mm.
I look at my notes, they are pain in the what to read right now, because it's almost like words are on top of words and they're going this way and that way. But I was like, you know what, that's kind of how we think, like, or that's at least, and that's how that's like, it is all of that. And so sometimes, yeah, working with the hands, I can't say tapping on a keyboard is necessarily working with the hands, but there was something more like, I was more married with it.
More, it was a piece of you almost. That's fantastic. I love this. Thank you for sharing your story and your background and your bathroom that you're in.
Yes. And also I just want to say, like, my take on it is, oh, I can be more in the dreamer end, but
Mm.
some people maybe head into doing. So just check where you are on that,
Yes.
in that range, and try to fortify yourself up where you feel like you're not as strong. So I have to fortify myself up in the doing part. Some people might have to fortify themselves up in like thinking big or just allowing themselves space to dream.
Hmm, I like that. I think of it as a barometer.
Yeah, we also can get too caught up in one part and not and forget the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank
Okay.
you from France.
You're welcome from France.
Au revoir.
I didn't. Bye.